Clara felt the migraine throbbing behind her right eye at exactly 3:02 p.m. It had been a brutal week at her job as an architect. Finalizing projects that seemed determined to suck her soul. Deciding that productivity had officially died for the day, she packed her leather briefcase, gave a brief goodbye to a row of empty cubicles, and drove home under the gray light of a Tuesday afternoon. She was looking forward to a hot bath and maybe an hour of silence before her husband, Leo, got home from his demanding job in the financial district. The house was silent when she entered, which was expected. What wasn't expected was the quality of that silence. It wasn't the peaceful silence of an empty house. It was a heavy silence, like a vacuum, a silence that seemed to have sucked all the air out of the room. She dropped her keys in the ceramic bowl by the door, the normally cheerful sound seeming muffled and dead. "Leo," she called out by habit. No answer. She went up the stairs to the master bedroom, unbuttoning her blazer as she went. The plan was to grab a robe and head straight for the tub. She pulled open the door to the built-in closet and stopped. Her heart gave a single, painful thud. Her side of the closet was as it always was, an organized mix of silk blouses and suit pants. His side, Leo's side, was a void. Not just a few items missing. It was clean. All his suits, his pressed shirts, his meticulously rolled ties, even his collection of running shoes on the lower rack, all gone. A single wire hanger, probably from a dry cleaner, hung crookedly on the metal rod, a mocking metal ghost. Her brain refused to process. A robbery? He glanced at her dresser. Her pearl necklace was there. Her laptop was on the desk. On Leo's nightstand, his expensive watch, the one he wore for special occasions, was still in its velvet box. This wasn't a robbery. This was an evacuation. This was an erasure. It looked as if Leo, the man she had shared a bed and bills with for 12 years, had never existed. The panic, cold and sharp, rose in her throat. Her mind's first betrayal was a whisper. He left her. He left her. No fight, no warning. He just erased himself from her life. She ran to the master bathroom, the cool tile under her bare feet. The medicine cabinet was open. His toothbrush, his electric razor, the bottle of cologne she'd given him for Christmas, the ugly bottle of shaving cream he refused to replace, all gone. His navy blue towel was no longer hanging next to hers. It was as if she had been living alone for weeks. Anger began to bubble under the shock. How dare he? How dare he do this to her? She stormed back downstairs, phone in hand, fingers hovering over his mother's number, ready to unleash a hurricane of confusion and anger on his family. She walked into the kitchen to get a glass of water, her hand shaking so badly she could barely grip the refrigerator handle. And that's when she saw it. It wasn't a letter, not an email. It was a yellow sticky note, the kind you use to remember milk, stuck to the stainless steel door by a tacky pizza magnet they bought in Naples. Leo's handwriting, usually so clean and architectural, was rushed, almost frantic. 4 short lines that would change everything. Her heart pounding in her throat, she ripped it from the door. Leo Vio. Clara, my love, trust me. Don't panic and don't call anyone, especially the police. They are watching. I will explain everything soon. I love you. The word police jumped out at her, electric and terrifying. The fear that now flooded her was of a totally different kind.
The collapse of her marriage felt like a trivial luxury compared to what this note implied. They are watching. Instinctively, she ran to the living room window, pulling the blind back just enough to see the quiet suburban street. And there it was. A black sedan, dark tinted, featureless, parked across the street a few houses down. It wasn't in front of any particular neighbor's house. It was just there. And she could feel with a chilling certainty that someone inside that car was looking right at her window. The note wasn't an ending. It was an opening. She was alone in a house that suddenly felt like a glass trap. And the only man with the answers was the reason she was in danger. What had Leo done? And who were they?
The first night was a blur of silent terror. Clara didn't turn on the lights. She sat in the darkness of her living room on the floor so she couldn't be seen from the window. The black sedan remained motionless until 3:17 a.m. when its lights flashed on and it simply drove away, leaving an even more frightening emptiness in its wake. She didn't sleep. She felt like prey. The next morning, she had to make a choice. The note said, "Trust me." 12 years of marriage. 12 years of a man who was her rock, her constant partner. He was never impulsive. He was never cruel. There had to be a reason. She picked up the phone and called her office. Her voice was surprisingly calm, and she explained to the receptionist that Leo had a family emergency and she would need to take a few days off to help him. The lie came easily, and that scared her. She was covering for a missing man, effectively lying to anyone who might look for him. She realized, on his side, whatever that side was. She needed answers, and the house was the only place to look. She started in Leo's office. It seemed untouched. His desk was organized, his pens in their cup. She went through his files, but found nothing but tax records and appliance manuals. It was when she opened his desk drawer that her heart sank for the second time. At the bottom, under a pile of old bank statements, was a receipt from a high-end jewelry store downtown, dated 3 weeks ago. The purchase? A diamond necklace. A necklace she had never seen. The price made her eyes water. Next to it was a credit card statement. A single charge at an absurdly expensive Italian restaurant, the Serenata, a place she had always wanted to go, but Leo always dismissed as too pretentious. The charge was for two. The pain was so immediate and visceral she almost choked. The black sedan, the note, the danger. What if it was all an elaborate farce? What if the truth was much dirtier and more mundane? What if Leo wasn't a man in danger, but just a walking cliché? A husband trading her in for a younger model he could buy diamonds for. She needed answers, and the house was the only place to look. She started in Leo's office. It seemed untouched. His desk was organized, his pens in their cup. She went through his files, but found nothing but tax records and appliance manuals. It was when she opened his desk drawer that her heart sank for the second time. At the bottom, under a pile of old bank statements, was a receipt from a high-end jewelry store downtown, dated 3 weeks ago. The purchase? A diamond necklace. A necklace she had never seen. The price made her eyes water. Next to it was a credit card statement. A single charge at an absurdly expensive Italian restaurant, the Serenata, a place she had always wanted to go, but Leo always dismissed as too pretentious. The charge was for two. The pain was so immediate and visceral she almost choked. The black sedan, the note, the danger. What if it was all an elaborate farce? What if the truth was much dirtier and more mundane? What if Leo wasn't a man in danger, but just a walking cliché? A husband trading her in for a younger model he could buy diamonds for. Her hands shook. She expected love letters, more jewelry. Instead, she found a prepaid phone, a passport she didn't recognize with Leo's picture and a different name, a metal USB drive, and a single key. The key was old brass with a plastic number tag attached. 237. The prepaid phone was dead. She looked at the USB drive. This was the rabbit hole. She couldn't plug it into her home computer. If they were watching, they'd be watching her network. She grabbed her own laptop, pocketed the drive, and drove to the most anonymous place she could think of, the public library. She sat in a carrel in the back, the smell of old books and carpet dust filling her lungs. She plugged in the drive. It was password protected. Claire swore softly. She tried their anniversary. Access denied. His birthday. Access denied. This childhood dog's name. Access denied. She sat back frustrated. What was she missing? The name in the planner. Eliza. She typed Eliza. Access denied. What about the necklace? The betrayal. She was wasting her time. She was about to give up when she remembered the restaurant receipt. La Serenata. She typed it. Laserenata. Access granted. A single folder appeared on the screen. Its name was Project Titan. She opened it. What she saw made no sense, and yet it made all of the sense in the world. It was spreadsheets, wire transfer records, names of shell companies in tax havens, Swiss account numbers, and names. Names that she recognized from the news, local politicians, judges, and most shockingly of all, the name of Leo's company's CEO, a man named Marcus Harrison, who had mentored Leo. It wasn't an affair, it was a conspiracy. Leo, her quiet, methodical accountant husband, had stumbled onto a massive money laundering scheme within his firm. And now he had the proof. Suddenly, the diamond necklace and the dinner made sense. It wasn't for a lover. It was a payment. Eliza wasn't a girlfriend. She looked at the planner again. There was a phone number next to the name. Clara went to a payphone in the library. She dialed. A professional female voice answered. Hayes Investigations, Eliza speaking. Clara almost dropped the phone. I think you are working for my husband, Leo. There was a silence on the line. Ma'am, Eliza said, her voice low and urgent. Where are you? Are you safe? I don't know, Clara whispered. He's gone. He left a drive. Project Titan. Eliza cursed. He wasn't supposed to involve you. Listen to me. They were on to him. Marcus Harrison. He found out Leo was digging. Leo contacted me 6 months ago. The dinner was to give me my initial payment. The necklace was a bonus for the risk. Leo was scared they were getting close to him. He was building a case for the FBI. But apparently, they found him first. What do I do? Clara asked. Do you have the drive? Yes. Leo mentioned a backup, a safe place, the key. Do you have a key? Yes, number 237. It's a storage unit, Eliza said. Leo was so afraid they'd raid his house. He duplicated everything. He was creating a bolt hole. You need to get there, but you cannot go home. Why? Because, Eliza said, if they know he's gone, the next person they'll look for is you. They'll think he gave it to you. Clara's blood ran cold at the black sedan. She drove home. She had to see. The front door was smashed in. The lock was broken. She didn't go in. She hid behind her neighbor's bushes. The black sedan was there, but this time the men were inside her house. She could see them through the windows, tearing the place apart. They weren't being settled. They were ripping open cushions, throwing books from shelves, flipping the mattress. They were looking for the drive. They weren't robbers. They were hunters, and she was the prey. She packed away into the darkness, heart pounding like a drum. Eliza was right. Her old life was gone. The storage unit was her only chance. She took a cab to the storage unit, Star Secure Storage, a grim facility in the industrial part of town. She paid in cash and walked in, the attendant barely looking up. She found Unit 237 at the end of a long, flickering hallway. The brass key turned smoothly in the lock. She rolled up the metal door, the sound echoing in the empty hall. What she found took her breath away. It wasn't just boxes. It was alive. Leo's clothes were hanging on a rack exactly as he would have arranged them. There was a mini fringe, a sleeping bag, boxes of canned food and water. And on a small metal desk, there was a laptop and a printer. He wasn't just running. He was moving in. He was planning a war. The laptop was on. The screen was waiting. She plugged in the drive. The same file, Project Titan, but this time there was another document next to it. A text file named For Clara. She clicked it. It was the letter.
My dearest Clara, it began, her vision blurred with tears. If you are reading this, it means two things. First, that I trusted the right woman, and you are just as smart and brave as I always knew you were. Second, that I'm out of time. I stumbled onto it, Clara. It started small, a rounding error in a ledger. But I kept pulling the thread. And what I found? It's not just Harrison. It's a cancer. It involves judges, cops, politicians. The note on the fridge was right. The police are not our friends. Not this time. I was trying to build a case for the feds, but they are too insulated. They caught me. Harrison called me into his office. He didn't say anything, but he showed me a picture. It was a picture of you, taken through your office window. They threatened me, Clara. They threatened you. I had to make them think I would back off.
The letter went on, explaining every detail. The money he took from their joint account wasn't stolen. He moved it to an offshore account in her name, protected, where they couldn't freeze it. The fake passport was for her in case she needed to run. Eliza Hayes was his one ally, an ex-cop who was drummed out for trying to expose corruption and had a personal vendetta against Harrison. He had cleared his side of the closet and his toiletries as a performance. He needed them to believe he was just another unhappy husband running from his life, that he had taken his files and fled. It was the only way to buy her time. Leo voiceover. I don't know where I'll be when you read this. I'm going dark. I'm cutting every tie. It's the only way to take the target off your back and put it firmly on mine. But I'm not giving up. I'm just changing the battlefield. The laptop has everything. There's a backup copy of the drive hidden inside the lining of my winter suitcase in the corner. Give it to Eliza. She'll know which reporter to take it to. The original drive, the one you have, is your insurance policy. Don't trust anyone. Not my mother, not yours. No one. They could be watched. This unit is yours. The rent is paid for 5 years. Use it. Or burn it all and run using the passport. The choice is yours. But I know you're a fighter. I never left you, Clara. I just went to protect you. I love you more than life itself. Be brave. Clara sat on the cold concrete floor of the storage unit for a full hour, the silence filled only by the hum of the fluorescent light. The woman who had entered that unit was broken, scared, and feeling betrayed. The woman who walked out was someone else entirely. She was not a victim. She was a war widow. She made a copy of the drive. She found the backup in the winter bag. She took the fake passport and the stack of cash Leo had hidden under the laptop. She pulled on one of Leo's old sweatshirts, the smell of him, the last piece of comfort she would allow herself. She walked out of the storage unit and into the night. The black sedan was nowhere to be seen. They were at her house, looking for something she now possessed. Leo had disappeared to protect her, but he had underestimated one thing. He thought she would run. But after reading his letter, after seeing the sacrifice he made, running was the one thing she couldn't do. They thought the husband was the threat. They were about to find out how dangerous the wife could be. Clara caught a cab, not to the airport, but to a cheap motel across town. She opened the laptop and sent an email to Eliza Hayes. I have the package, And I have a plan. The game wasn't over. It had just changed players.